It's Hump Day Happy Day. Hump Day Happy Chat. So good to see you again. So good to be here. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. It is Hump Day Happy Chat time. How are you this Hump Day? Here we are. I'm Valerie Sheppard, founder and CEO of the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. And I am here on another Wednesday, one of my favorite days of the week. It's like a transition day. It's also one of the days when I spend time with my Living 101 Being Happy and Whole students. And so I get very excited about seeing them and supporting them to create more happiness and wholeness in their lives at the University of California, Irvine, and beyond. So I'm a big fan of Wednesday. Yay. And so I teach self-mastery, which is the mastery of you, mastering you in your life so that you can exquisitely manage whatever your life brings your way. And in these little happy chats, I'm sharing some tips and tools that I use with my students and my clients and myself to create a happiness in life that is not conditional, unconditional happiness. So that means I don't have to have my life be a certain way for me to be able to connect to that space inside me that is always already happy. That's actually joy is what I'm talking about. More people can connect to the concept of being happy, so I use that word. But I'm talking about this place inside you, this ever-present reservoir of the truth of who you are, your state of being. And joy is a natural part of who you are. And so these little chats are just quick opportunities for me to share some things that I've seen work and that I teach and use routinely and frequently. So this week, the concept is transcend and include. Transcend and include. So transcend is a verb, right? That means to rise above or to go beyond a particular limitation or overcome negative circumstances or particular challenges or restrictive aspects of what you're dealing with, etc. So the idea of transcendence is not a new one. And in spiritual realms, it's often about transcending the limitations of the physical body, like actually leaving the physical body. And that can be for the length of a meditation, or that can be for years, like to actually transcend the physical body by transitioning off the planet and out of the physical body. I'm not talking about that kind of transcendence. I'm talking about the true transcendence that can happen when you actually make a choice to transcend the limitations of the current life that you're experiencing. And your life doesn't have to be horrible to transcend things. But the whole idea is this, my grandmother used to say, stay above the fray. Stay above the fray. And so how do you do that? This is about how do I transcend what I call the muck and yuck of my life. And I don't mean that in a real pejorative sense. I just mean it's heavy. It feels like it might be holding me back. Sometimes it feels like it stays for way too long. Like, have you ever had a situation where you're like, I'm over this. Why are you still here? So this is what we're talking about. And by the way, that last one, that's kind of me dealing with the physiological ramifications of a brain hemorrhage that I had in 2015. And yeah, I'm over it. Make no mistake, people are often surprised at how positive and joyful and inspiring I am, despite what is still going on with my physical body and in my life. And this tool, what I'm talking about is how I'm doing it and how I offer it to you as a way to help you do it as well. And I just want to talk about, I'm not the only one on the planet, obviously, who is dealing with circumstances every day that are, not the stuff that you would expect happiness to be made of, right? It's just, it's not that. And And there are other people, like for yesterday, there are millions of people. Yesterday at UCI, there is a speaker. Her name was Haben Girma. She's an American She's an American-born daughter of an Eritrean mother and an Ethiopian father. And here's what's interesting about her. When we talk about transcend and include, I love the story that she is, because she definitely shows that. She is the first deaf and blind graduate of Harvard Law School. Like, think about that. She's under 30. She's made the 30 under 30 list. She was on President Obama's Council for Disability. She is a disability and civil rights attorney. But the first deaf, blind graduate of Harvard Law School. Like, talk about the internal conditions that allow this beautiful soul to transcend, while she certainly includes. Like, you can't outrun your blindness or your deafness. That's an inherent part of the physical body that your spirit, your soul occupies. So it goes wherever you go. And nonetheless, she's living at a level of transcendence that is magnificent, and that is also being used to create an avenue to transcendence for others. Excuse my runny nose. An avenue to transcendence for others. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And she, as beautiful and powerful as her story is, she's one of millions that are doing this all the time. And you're doing it, I'm sure. And maybe part of this is, like, when it gets really tough, like, what do you do? Like, are you giving yourself credit for the transcending that you're doing in your life? And how are you staying above the fray? And a lot of times, what we're trying to transcend is not these physical limitations and traumas and trials and tribulations. So not everybody's transcendence requires getting over a brain hemorrhage or getting through a horrible diagnosis like cancer or MS or some other chronic, long-term, physiological, debilitating experience. Most of us are needing to learn how to transcend and include something more prevalent, and that's the emotional trauma, limitation, muck and yuck in our lives. So the emotional stuff that can keep us disconnected from our true happiness, even though it's there for us all the time. So it's not about pushing the fray away, right? It's not about saying, no, I'm not, that's resistance, and that usually doesn't work. It's not about ignoring it. Like, okay, if I just, can't hear it, can't see it, not going to talk about it, it'll dissolve and go away. No, that's really a subtle form of resistance. And it's not about what a lot of people talk about as a spiritual bypass, like getting all holy on it and saying, well, this is for my better good, and God is taking care of this and setting this up. And I'm not saying that that's not a true and valid way to look at the dynamics in your life. That may not be enough, right? May not be enough, maybe a starting point. So I'll give you some steps that I do with my clients, that I do with myself, that I teach in my classes. So one thing it's about is acceptance and allowing. Like, how do you accept what is as exactly what is without the need to change it, right? We think we're accepting, and then we come up with all the different ways why this shouldn't be this way, and here's how I want to change it. And so how do we actually accept and allow it to be exactly the way it is? How do you create your happy in the presence of whatever that is that you are transcending? That's the idea of include. Include it in your model for happiness, your creation of happiness. That's really how you have both simultaneously. It's a both and equation. So here's how I teach to do it. Number one is I create a relationship with whatever that is that I don't want. So how can I understand it better? How can I actually go into it rather than running away from it? Rather than backing away, can I create a relationship with it? So what is this fear that I'm feeling and where is it coming from? What is this deep sadness that I'm feeling and where is this coming from? What's it got to tell me? Is it in the now moment? It's something happening in the now moment. The anxiety is, but is the trigger for that in the now moment? Or is it actually something happened in the now moment that is triggering some old energy from my past? So that's really important. Create a relationship with whatever this disturbance. Dr. Sean Duperrin calls disturbances a brrrr. So you're running a disturbance, the brrrr. Okay, my nose is running. Tissue. Excuse me. Okay, so you've got a disturbance happening, and it's brrrr. So create a friendship with it, relationship with it. The next thing is just accept it. Hello, disturbance. Not sure I want you here, but I'm going to accept it because you're here. So there's no point in trying to wish that away. It's here. So how do I allow it? And this is the part that's really important. Honor it as sacred territory in your life. This is sacred territory. This is showing me something about me, from me, to me, for me. What's going on here? So sacred territory. The muck and yuck is sacred territory. Kind of like when we used to make mud pies as little kids. Pretty dirty, pretty mucky yucky. But hey, mud pies were the bomb when you're 5 years old. Okay, so get clarity, like make a relationship, accept, allow, and receive. Then can you integrate it as an aspect of you? Like, this is not the not me. People used to tell me, you'll get back to your normal life soon. And I was kind of like, this is my life. I mean, this could be the new normal, the way I'm feeling physiologically, the way I'm walking, the dexterity, the coordination, or the lack thereof. Like all those things, that may be the new normal. So why don't I stay in that space with it and allow it as that, accept it as that, honor it, love it as that. So integrate that as a full and worthy aspect of you. And then this is one of the keys. Soak it in the unconditional love in your heart. Excuse me. Can you pull all of it into a heart soak, as heart math would teach? Can I flood it with unconditional love? Can I say, it's totally fine that I'm feeling this way. I'm totally willing to receive everything that this moment has to offer me, even though I might label it as muck and yuck. And then feel the peace emanate through your whole system as a result of that. So notice, we haven't done anything to change it. We haven't done anything to change it. Staying above the fray, transcending and including is not necessarily about changing anything except you and your relationship to whatever it is that's showing up that you're like, I really don't want this. I don't even know how to deal with it. Once you get into that space of allowing, accepting, receiving, transcending and including, transcending while you include it, unconditionally loving whatever it is, it's then that you are in the fertile ground of creation to have this be transformed. So it's the transcending while including it that sets up the possibility for the transformation that you seek. I'll say that again. It's the transcending while including it that sets up the possibility for the transformation that you seek. Peaceful heart, open mind, the mind of the beginner. What more is possible with the situation exactly as it is? So that's it for today's Hump Day Happy Chat. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm wishing you the spirit of transcendence and inclusion and trusting that when you go there with whatever's going on in your life, you're setting a fertile ground on which to plant the seeds of your own transformation. Spiral up into you and spiral out into your world. Expand your peace, love, joy, and freedom. Yay! Hump Day Happy Chat! Valerie Sheppard at the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. Signing off now. Bye. Thank you for joining me. Many blessings. Bye. Turning all these things off is funny. Stop recording. Ciao, ciao, ciao.